This is the infotainment system you're going to find inside of the Cadillac CT5. This one is new for the 2025 plus models. Previous gens do have a very similar setup, and the functionality is going to be very similar between them with some subtle differences. But if you want to walk through on the last gen system, if it's available, you'll find it down in the description. And you might see me swiping using my finger here across the screen, and you might also see things moving without me touching the screen. And that's because I'm using all of the different buttons down the middle. There's a hot button press in order to get to your audio, for your phone calls, for navigation, your basic vehicle settings. There's a back button, home button, and then another button here, well, the dial I should say, in order to get to a series of other options too. First thing is that the home screen here, the icons, can actually be customized in a few different spaces. So the ones along the top, you just push and hold until it becomes loose, and then you can drag it around to any location that you'd like to. So whichever way you'd like to go there. And then along the bottom, the home button and then this little split screen button are locked into place. So those can't be moved. But these other four can be adjusted. So you just do a push and hold, and then you can drag them around in order to have the perfect setup for you. And once you've got it, you just let it go and you're set to go. You've got this button along the outside in order to get into individual profiles, including setting additional profiles up. The big benefit here is that if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you go through, set up all your profiles, you can have it locked to a key fob too. The big benefit there is that if you have presets that you want to set up for each individual person, the phone that you'd like to have set up, your addresses and things like that, you'd have the flexibility of being able to move through and set up unique profiles for as many people as you'd like to there. Switch back to the main profile. You can manage additional profiles there too, and then it's just a matter of simply switching back and forward. It's really easy. Along the bottom there, you can see whether or not you've got a current connection. If there were notifications available, those would show up, along with your current outside temperature and then the current time. And then here is saying sign in for more features, back home to this main screen. So let's kind of dive in line by line, and I'll show you what you need to know. So first thing, we've got audio. So audio, you've got AM, FM, SiriusXM, Bluetooth, and a few others. If you had a USB stick with MP3s, that would show up as an available option. Hopping into FM to start, you've got all of your different preset spaces that are available. In order to save in a preset, tune to whatever station you'd like, and then just push and hold in order for it to overwrite. It's really easy. You can also do this. So along the very bottom there, you hit this icon in order to get to all of your available stations. So if you're new to an area, you're not sure what stations are available, go there, and then you can start starring out all of these icons. So if there are stations that you tend to listen to, you can easily move through in order to be able to get to all of the stations and save them in. The big benefit there is that you can use the pad along the steering wheel here, so the buttons to go up and down between all of your favorited stations. Pretty simple. You do have SiriusXM available as an option there too. SiriusXM, you can see related artist stations, you can pause live radio. You can hit this in order to get to all of your available categories on top of that. And then this button is going to give you some additional settings for SiriusXM. Really easy. And then you saw there, so it's a mix for all of your presets of AM, FM, or SiriusXM. There's no way to delete them on the screen. Hitting this button is going to bring you into additional sound settings where you can do things like change out your equalizers, so bass, mid-range, and treble. What I'd recommend here is play one of your favorite songs, and while the song is playing, adjust this out until it sounds perfect for your ears. I've personally found something like this works well inside of the CT5, but that's going to come down to a matter of preference. You can adjust out the fader balance, so do you want it focused on the driver, people in the rear, etc., or recenter it back out to the middle again. And then your sound mode, do you want it front focused, rear focused, and then stereo versus a surround sound. So more of like that immersive audio experience. You can also manage your radio stations there too. So if you wanted to readjust, all you do is just do a drag and drop, or you just hit the button there in order to delete them. Nice and simple. And back home. You've got your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto options that are available there too. There's a camera here, so there is the full 360 view. The 360 cam looks great. There is your standard view, an overhead view, side-by-side view. You can do a backup view with some additional options. So do you want your guidelines, yay or nay, for different views? Exit out from there. Actually, while you're on the camera, you've got this little button, and that's the beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles. So if you're really not a fan of that beeping, you'd have the flexibility of being able to toggle it off if you'd like. And then just underneath the screen, you've got a series of other buttons. So you could also toggle that beeping off down this way. And then this one is an option for full park assist, so the vehicle can help out with both parallel and perpendicular parking. But if you want to walk through on the park assist system, you'll find it down in the description of this video. You've got your vehicle status, so if you wanted to be able to see your basic vehicle overview, it's actually kind of neat because you can move in to individual options here. You've got your fluids, battery levels, and things like that. Now, one interesting thing about all of these, you've got this option, so remove or change from the display. So where this comes into play is maybe you want your coolant temperature inside of the display. You can tap there, and it's going to overwrite the left part of the display there. And you could add in a few different things. So if you wanted to have maybe your fuel economy back in there instead, you can adjust that out. So that's based off of whatever we're doing inside of the infotainment system there. So air quality, things like that, you can add a number of these things right into the driver display. In order to reset your fuel economy, inside of the left part of the cluster screen, you've got a few buttons on the outside to change between a few different looks. But along the very bottom in the middle, you've got this one. So that is going to bring you up to your different trip counters. In order to reset, you're just going to hold to reset. Kind of like a fine little spot there in order to do it. There we go. And a few seconds in, you've reset your trip counter. So it's easy enough to do that. Then there are different options for adjusting your head-up display, things like that. But if you want a full walkthrough on the cluster screen, on the steering wheel buttons, etc., you'll find that down in the description of this video. And back home from there, you've got your climate options. You do have all of your climate control settings down the screen. I love that you've still got physical buttons there. So dual zone climate control. If the passenger side is set to something different, you could tap in order to sync it up. You can have it going to windshield face feet, and then you've also got your heated, ventilated first row seats and a few others. But inside of the screen, you can adjust it this way too. You've got some flexibility with the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, so you'd be able to do things like change stations, you can navigate using your voice, do some basic climate setting changes with your voice too. You've got your auto modes, sync modes, do you want it going to face feet, some sort of combination of the above. Or move into some different options for climate and air quality control. I honestly just recommend keeping the defog, defrost, keep those ones on regardless. You might not want your heated seats or ventilated seats on when you go to start the vehicle up. So that's going to come down to a matter of preference. And that just means that when the vehicle's actually started, those will automatically pop on. From there, there's a series of advanced settings that we'll get to last. There's ambient lighting available inside of the vehicle with a few different color choices that are available. You could toggle the ambient light off completely, but it does look pretty solid at nighttime. So you can have it go to a few different spots, a few different places. You could change up the style and then different modes, including linking it to the drive mode. The benefit there is that as you shift into, like from your normal mode into sport mode, it's going to give you a more aggressive look. I personally am a bigger fan of having it linked to the drive mode because it looks pretty nice. But if you have a color choice that you'd like to use instead, you've got that flexibility. There's the Google Play Store available too, so you do actually have to sign in order to be able to use this, but it gives you the flexibility of downloading different apps right to the vehicle. And in order to use it, all you're going to do is scan the little QR code on your phone, and then just log into your Gmail account. There we go, and you can see logged in and tap done. And look at that, now logged in, and you can start downloading different apps directly to the vehicle. So there's Waze, which I'm a bigger fan of because there's Google Maps built in, but you could download Waze, and there are a series of other options available too. I'm actually curious, are there any games? Okay, yeah, so no games, but you've got Spotify that's available, SoundCloud, and a number of other things. You can download a bunch of different apps directly to the screen. So rather than hooking your phone up, you could just run that way. You do need an active data plan in order to use certain apps though. Next up is Alexa. So you've got Alexa built in. You do obviously have to be logged into your account. You've got the Google Assistant that way that you could use. You can hit the voice command prompt on the steering wheel in order to be able to use your assistant that way. There's a wireless hotspot available inside of the ride. Useful that you could obviously use your phone data, but if the vehicle has a built-in hotspot, rather than chewing through your phone data, you can use just the vehicles instead. And then there's also Maps. And because it's a Google-based device, you've got Google Maps that are built in. And since I'm signed into my phone, any addresses that I've searched for will also show up. You can tap this in order to be able to search for an address. You can hit there in order to show traffic, route options. So if you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that. You can mute out notifications, just get alerts, etc. You can change up your heading this way if you'd like to. You can easily do a pinch to zoom. You could hit in and out this way recenter it back on the driver. Along your drive, as you go, if you notice that there's a crash, slowdowns, things like that, you can give other drivers a heads up. You can search for different addresses. So if you wanted to look at recents, categories, saved, etc., you can search by GPS coordinates if you want. So latitude first, longitude second. Point of interest icons are available there. So as we swipe across, let's look at one. It's a little bit further away. Let's go for number 5. So you can tap there. From there, you could move in. If your phone was connected, you'd be able to dial through. Back out, you can start, or you can hit this little feller in order to see different route choices. So you can see there are 3 different options that are available to get to the end destination. You can also say whether you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, and ferries again. Once you find whatever route you like, tap back or go, and look at that. So the route is now active there. Then one nice thing is that inside of the head-up display, if you've got the available technology package, you'd also have your turn-by-turn directions inside of the display. They also show up inside of the cluster screen, so you can see there your little turn-by-turn directions. And then one neat thing, along the outside there, you can also go into a full map view. So you've got this like wild double full mapping cluster view that's available too. So you've got different options there. I do like that you've at least got your turn-by-turn directions there, and it's strictly going to be for Google Maps that are built in. So if your phone is connected, you wouldn't be able to use your phone maps or see your phone maps through that part of the cluster or through the head-up display. So it's strictly Google Maps that are built in. You could tap this again in order to be able to pull up all of your previously saved addresses. You can add in an additional stop too. So let's say maybe if Tim Hortons was your last choice or your next choice, you wanted to maybe also go to a gas station you wanted to fill up. You can tap there, select any other station, add it in as a stop, and there you go. So you've got your route going. You're going to go to Tim Hortons and then the gas station, or you can do a drag and drop in order to go. Either way, hit an X in order to go, or just hit done. And then exit out in order to cancel the route. You can keep editing or fully exit the route out. Oh, it's that simple using factory navigation, specifically Google Maps, inside of the ride, which means next up is going to be adding in a phone. We're going to start off on the iPhone side of things. So all you're going to do, tap phone and then manage phones. If your phone was connected, it would show up, but you're just going to hit add phone. And then on your device, you're just looking for Cadillac 6133, going to connect through, and PIN numbers match up. So let's go ahead and pair. Pair, do you want to allow access to contacts and favorites? This is not my car, so I'm saying no to that one. And you can stop here. So we're connecting over Bluetooth, which means that you can make phone calls and stream audio. But one nice thing is that you've also got the option for Apple CarPlay. That is wireless. You could connect over a USB if you'd like to instead. So if you wanted to go wired Apple CarPlay, you've got the flexibility to do it. This might happen. Yeah, there we go. And eventually that will go away, but you've got Apple CarPlay. You can tap in order to launch in, and look at that. I love the way that they've done this design. How it just kind of wraps around. I think it looks beautiful. Along the very bottom, if you hop back home, you can tap the little CarPlay icon to hop back inside, but you've got your current, time, connection, and battery level, which map was open last, which audio application was open last, which means Delaney's application was opened, and then you can go here in order to get to this home screen, back to your little icon view. So this home screen here is kind of customizable. You'll always have whatever map was open last. The search box will be there, and then whatever audio you were listening to. If you've got a calendar notification coming up today that hasn't passed, that would show up. If you don't have a calendar notification, that would go away, and then your search box and the audio box would be stretched along the side there instead. You can tap this in order to get back to your icon view. And it's nice, you've got Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze that are all built into Apple CarPlay. The downside though, no pinch to zoom capabilities on the Apple side. You can zoom in and out. I'm personally a bigger fan of using Waze because if there are speed traps set up, if there's construction accidents, things like that, people are good at marking that off. You can mark things off. So if you notice police people pulling people over, if there's a crash, things like that, you can give other drivers a notification. You've got Hoopla, which is a library app, Live One, which is a radio app. Podcasts are available there too. And you can see that as I move into different options, it overwrites it, which with whatever one was open last. You can kind of customize this screen, so you can shift it into driving focus, but you can adjust the wallpaper. So maybe you don't like the default if you're a bigger fan of something like this. Or if you're a bigger fan of something like that, you can kind of customize this a tiny little bit. But what you could also do is customize the layout of the icons there. So what you're going to do on your phone, you're going to go into Settings, General, and then CarPlay. You're going to find your vehicle. You can forget it. You can customize, which is what we're looking for. So if you wanted your podcast to be along the top, along with another map application, you're just grabbing the hamburger icon, dragging it to the top there in order to adjust. Anything with a minus next to it, you can remove it from the screen if you wanted to, but it saves it along the bottom, so you could add these things back in. But if you've played around with the layout of the icons too much and you don't like what you've done, along the top right side of the phone, you can tap reset in order to reset you back to that default layout for the icons. Now, a few other things too. If you push the voice command prompt along the steering wheel, so just a tap, that's going to be the assistant for the vehicle. But if you do a long button push and hold, that's going to activate your Siri assistant. So short button push is for the factory assistant. Long button push and hold is the assistant for your phone. Really simple. Now, if you hop back home, you're back to the home screen again, hopping back into CarPlay. You can tap this little swap button in order to get to your phone list there. You can hit options in order to get into different things. You could disconnect if you'd like to. You can have it to listen for Hey Siri and a number of other things, or forget the phone. And back. But that's how you set up Apple devices inside of the CT5. Setting up Android devices is the exact same process. So assuming you weren't on this screen, you tap into your phone, but as of right now, I'm still connected to the iPhone. So you're going to tap the little swap icon if you want multiple phones connected. Hit the little plus icon. Let's go ahead and switch phones. So it's disconnecting, and it's giving us the option now in order to connect to a new device. So you're going to pull up your Bluetooth settings, look for the vehicle name, and in a few seconds, there we go. PIN numbers match up, so let's go ahead and pair. Look at that, we're connected. And connected for Bluetooth as well. On your phone, it's asking, do you want to allow access to contacts and messages? It's not my car, so I'm definitely saying no to that one. And in order to use Android Auto, you're just going to tap the little Android Auto icon. You're going to turn it on, enable, and it's going to take a second here. Look at that. On your phone, let's go ahead and continue with Android Auto. Again, backwards compatible if you wanted to go over USB, but we are fully connected to Android Auto with that same kind of interesting display there. You've got your current battery and connection level, some miscellaneous apps, your assistant for your phone. So because this is a Google-based infotainment system, you've got your assistant for the vehicle, long button push and hold, is going to get you your assistant for your phone. So it's just one thing you got to consider there is they're both Google-based, so you just got to pay attention to whether you've got the assistant for the vehicle or for the phone. You could go full screen Google Maps by tapping the icon there in order to do it. So not quite as full screen as the built-in assistant, but if you wanted to go that way, you could. It works the same way, Google Maps there. So you've got your satellite views and things like that. If you tap this icon, that gets you back to the little split screen. Tapping again gets you to a little icon view. Now, if you've got Waze installed on your Android device, but it's not showing up, check down in the description of this video. I've put together a little walkthrough explaining how to set Waze up on your Android device if it's not showing up for you. And then you've got the flexibility of customizing these icons a tiny little bit. So what you're going to do on your device, you're going to search for Android Auto, go into your Android Auto settings, and then you've got a series of options here. But we're looking for Customize Launcher. So in order to adjust out the layout of the icons, you just drag the little hamburger icon along the side, and you're going to move these things wherever you'd like. It's not dynamic, so it's not going to automatically move in. So what you have to do is tap this icon. You're going to disconnect from Android Auto. You're going to reconnect to Android Auto. As we launch in, go back to the icons. The changes that we made have now come into effect. So it's not dynamic the same way it is on the iPhone side of things, but you've at least got the flexibility to adjust these out if you'd like. You can tap the little swipe icon or swap icon there along the bottom if you'd like to disconnect, forget, etc. So if we are hooked back up this way, or easily switch the phones out. Really easy to do. And then deleting devices, all you're going to do here is just tap options. You've got a few different options for media source priority, things like that, but we're just going to go ahead and forget phone and forget. And let's go ahead and forget, and you're set to go. But it's that easy setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of the CT5. You've got My Cadillac available, and there's also a Cadillac app available for your phone too. And that's going to give you the flexibility of remote starting and a few other things. You've got basic news that's available, and then the big one, all of your available vehicle settings. Starting off with connections, you've got the option of moving into any available devices. You've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Let's see, Wi-Fi networks and things like that. Nothing overly exciting there. Vehicle options, where you can adjust out all of your audio settings, which we've already seen. There's drive mode customizations available here too. So you've got the flexibility of creating your own unique drive mode. Down the middle here, you've got a little switch in order to move between different drive modes. So you've got your touring mode, which is your basic normal drive. Sport mode, which hangs onto the RPMs longer to give you a sportier performance. You've got snow ice mode, which is going to disable your traction stability control. And then there's also your individual My mode, and that's where you're going to customize your drive mode there. So how do you want your steering to be, your brake feel, your engine sound, your My mode, etc. So you've got that flexibility to be able to adjust your My mode to be whatever you'd like it to be there. Teen Driver is available, so if you wanted to give a Keyfob certain customization options or specifically restrictions, you could. Rear seat reminder, when you go to turn the vehicle off, you'll get a little message inside of the cluster screen telling you to check the back seats. Buckle to drive, so you do have to actually be buckled in, so there's a reminder there. Super Cruise. So you've got 3 different types of cruise control inside of this ride. There's normal cruise control, there's adaptive cruise control, and then there's Super Cruise, which is full hands-free driving. On the steering wheel, you've got all of your buttons there, so you can toggle cruise control on by pushing the button this way. You'd then set your speed by pushing down. You can lightly push up to increase or decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time. Bigger push up to bring you to the nearest 5 or 0. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed. You can hit the cancel button there to cancel your speed, and then push up to resume your previously set speed. And then there's Super Cruise. So you toggle the Super Cruise button on this way. When you've got Super Cruise enabled, this will go green on the steering wheel, and then it'll also let you know inside of the cluster screen. If you want to walk through on actually using Super Cruise, check down in the description of this video for a walkthrough on how to use all these different types of cruise. Now, one thing though, is that with the Super Cruise system enabled, that's where you get into the Super Cruise lane change. So you can toggle it off completely, turn signal activated, or automatic. So if you've got the Super Cruise system enabled and the vehicle recognizes that the lane you're in is too slow based off of your currently set speed, it can automatically turn on the turn stalk for you in order to go left or right in order to move you into another lane by itself. That's with automatic. With turn signal activated, you have to hit the turn stalk in order to go left or right. It'll check next to you, and then it'll automatically change either lane for you, or you can just turn off the lane change assist completely. The automatic is pretty neat, but I normally just go the turn signal activated myself. Let's see. Air quality, we've seen these ones, keep these ones enabled. Do you want your heated ventilated seats turned on automatically by the vehicle? Collision detection systems, a lot of these safety settings, you've got the flexibility of going either beeps, you can get vibrations inside of your seat too. So as an example, let's say if you are in reverse and you get closer to an obstacle, you're gonna get a little bit of haptic feedback on the steering wheel, but in the seat specifically. So it'll feel a little funky the first couple times you do it, but you can toggle it off if you'd like to. The vehicle can automatically brake for you if there's gonna be a potential collision. It can give you an alert. That's the same thing with pedestrian braking, collision braking, things like that. So if you wanted to disable these systems, you could. I personally wouldn't unless you're going on a track. See if there's a cyclist beside you, it can give you a heads up. As you go to change lanes, you can get alerts and things like that. Park assist with braking, so as you go to reverse, if there's an obstacle behind you, it can automatically brake for you. With rear cross traffic alert, if you're going to back up and somebody's coming perpendicular, so from the left or the right side, it can let you know of a potential collision. And that's the same thing if there's a pedestrian behind you as you go to back up. Comfort and convenience, you can adjust all of your different chime volumes for safety. There's hands-free for the actual trunk as well, so if you wanted to, you could get into the trunk just by swiping your foot in the back. Mirror tilt when you're in reverse, so you can have it for the driver passenger, just the driver, or the passenger. So with that enabled, you put yourself into reverse, and it's automatically going to tilt the mirrors down for you. Back into park, it'll bring you right back up to your memory position. I'm not a fan of that one. You can toggle it on off as necessary. See, when you go to lock the vehicle, do the side view mirrors automatically fold in? Do you want rain sensing wipers? Yay, nay. Lighting, you've got your ambient light. And then there's also the option for exterior light choreography. So pretty neat when you go to turn the vehicle on later on at night. Looks pretty solid. There's a little dance there. With your remote lock, unlock, do you want to get feedback? Yay or nay. When you go to unlock the door, same idea. All doors are just the driver's door that becomes unlocked. Do you want your heated ventilated seats to come on automatically when you go to remote start the vehicle? There's also a remote window operation, and then a few other options here. So let's hop outside and I'll show you how a few of these features work. In order to remote start the vehicle, just make sure that the door is locked. Push and hold that circle button twice. So you're just going to push twice. In order to start up, there we go. In order to cancel the remote start, just push that circle button again once. So just single button push in order to cancel the remote start. You can double push on the button here in order to be able to pop open the trunk. There's also the option for the foot activated liftgate. So again, as long as you've got the fob on you, all you're going to do is swipe your foot. That is going to pop up the trunk instead. And a few other things that you can do with the fob. The big one is going to be rolling the windows up and down. So in order to do it, all you're going to do is push the unlock button twice. So just going to go 1, 2, hold for a second. Watch this. Release, down they go. And it's strictly going to be for the windows, but it's all 4 windows inside of the ride, unfortunately not the sunroof. To roll them back up, you do the opposite. So double push the lock button and hold on the second push. So 1, 2, and hold. Up they go. You can release, and you're set to go. Straightforward. It would be nice if the sunroof also opened up, but at least being able to open and close the windows, I think, is a pretty useful setting. From there, you've got options for your seating position. So the vehicle does have seat memory available. So all you're going to do, get your driver's seat set up the way that you'd like to, your side view mirror, along with your steering wheel. And once you do, you're just going to tap set, and then either 1 or 2 in order for it to remember your own personal profile. But you've got seat memory positions here. So you've got your entry and exit seat memory. So what that means is that if these are enabled, what's going to happen is you go to get out of the vehicle, so you turn it off. It's going to back your seat up for you to be able to get in and out a little bit easier. I'm not a fan of that one. That's why I have it turned off. There's dealer transport mode. Nothing exciting there. Notifications. You could get those if you'd like to. Here nor there. I'd say leave it as a default. You've got all of the different apps that are available, permission managers. So if you wanted to block apps from doing certain things, this is probably too advanced for the majority of people. So I would just leave all of this as a default there. You can adjust out your date and time. So do you prefer that military time, the 12 versus 24-hour mode? Some of these are grayed out because you're in the auto mode. So auto time zone, I always recommend, unless you live somewhere where you straddle a time zone and it constantly flips you from one to the other. But you'd be able to lock into any other time zone if you'd like. It's the same idea for setting the date and time. So if you wanted to manually set the date and time, you've got that flexibility. You can change a few things with the display, so your different modes. You've got a light mode, dark mode, or an auto mode. Auto means the vehicle figures out whether you're in the light or the dark mode, just depending on how bright it is outside. Your cluster, you've also got your turn-by-turn directions that show up on the outer part there. Do you want your traffic sign recognition, yay or nay? You can turn the display off there if you'd like to. Toggling it back on down the middle, this button push in order to bring it back to life. You can actually do that the same way here. So if you just do a long button push and hold, that's going to put you into that turn off display mode too. Options for sounds, max volume at startup. So if you've got your audio cranked, you turn the car off, back on again. What level do you want it to be set to? And from here, different profiles and accounts. So if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you can set up individual options. You can delete, things like that. Let's see, privacy. Nothing exciting there. Legal information, location, app permissions. Assistant and voice gives you a few options. The big ones here, so rather than hitting the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, you could say, hey Google, and that's going to bring up your assistant for the vehicle here. Let's see, nothing overly exciting there. Play message summaries if you want to. So as you get a new message coming in, it can give you a little summary of the message. Let's see, you can adjust out the language. Do you want it to be English, French, Spanish, Italian, Japanese, etc.? Let's see here, nothing else exciting there. With security, the big one here is profile lock. So you'd be able to lock out your profile based off of a pattern, PIN, or a password. So if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, or even really just for general safety, I'd recommend setting up a PIN or a password. So if somebody hops into the car with your fob, they can't look through all the settings on your profile until they've unlocked. You can clear credentials, and there's security updates available if necessary. Options for your system. So do you want to change out your main language there? So English, French, or Spanish. Keyboard and speech, nothing exciting there. Leave that as a default. You can change out your measurement units. So do you want to be in either US or metric? So one of the benefits of it being a fully digital cluster screen is that as you move around, it changes everything. So your miles per gallon, your speed, your odometers, and things like that. Pretty simple. Reset options are available there too, so you can reset vehicle settings. You can do a full factory reset. So if you're selling your vehicle, do a full reboot. There is a way to do a soft screen reset too. I'll show you towards the end of this video on the infotainment system. You can restart in safe mode, things like that. This is a full Android device, but you can see how much space you've got available. So if you're downloading music, audio, things like that to the vehicle, you can see how much space you've got left. And just underneath the screen, you've got all of your climate control settings, some additional settings. You've got Park Assist, the beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles. You can turn your lane keeping system on or off, pull up your 360 camera. Then you've got your wireless charge pad. Down in the middle here, you've got a series of options. So your drive mode selector. Do you want traction control on or off? Auto hold, and then the auto start stop. So auto start stop, if you come down to a complete stop, the engine might turn off. With this one here, auto hold. So with this one enabled, same idea. You're in drive, you come down to a complete stop, take your foot off the brake, the car is not going to move. So that is available. Down the middle here, you saw earlier, you could do a button push if you just wanted to mute your audio. So you can mute audio this way, you can adjust audio on your steering wheel. Push and hold in order to go into a calming mode on the screen. And then hot button pushes to get to your vehicle info, home screen, and things like that. But if the infotainment system is giving you problems, like let's say Apple CarPlay is not working, Android Auto is not working, or it's just bugging out and it's going slow or it's not working properly, you could do that full factory reset that we saw, but that gets rid of everything on the screen. So what you want to do a soft screen reboot on the steering wheel, you've got this little feller. So that's your hang up button. So you're just going to push and hold that for about 10 to 12 seconds or so. Just keep on hanging on. And then eventually you're going to see a little message pop up in the screen. There we go. And boom, look at that. So you could enter a recovery mode. And what that's going to do is disable any additional apps that you have set up. You can do a full factory reset, but what we want to do is a soft reboot. So from here, you are going to do nothing. Just hang out for a second. Let the vehicle do its thing. There we go. And it's run through a soft reboot cycle. So it's the same thing as if you were to do a reset on your screen. So it's clearing out the cache, and that should get rid of the majority of issues that you're facing. If that didn't work, then do a full factory reset. If that doesn't work, you're going to have to go into your dealer. But I know that is a lot of information. That's everything that you need to know about the infotainment system inside of the Cadillac CT5.